Welcome to the Mission Brain Podcast, the official podcast of the Mission Brain Foundation, bringing insights into the fascinating realm of global neurosurgery. This episode promotes We Love Benefit Gala, taking place in Miami on February 16th. To know more about the event or to participate in the silent auction, please visit the links in the description.
I would like to first talk a little bit about you and try to get people to understand precisely what you do, and then get into talking about the gala itself. When we met in Mexico City, your hospitality was so overwhelming to everyone. And it really shows how much you really care about every single person involved in the organization. So that's the first thing I would like everybody in the audience to know about. And second of all, philanthropy is a very vague term. It can mean lots of things. So could you explain what your job is on a day-to-day basis?
My name is Celia Daniel, the Mizrahi. And I started 21 years ago in this amazing role called philanthropy. I think I have the best job in the world, because when you see that you can save one life, you can save the whole world. So for me, really, it has been one of the greatest times of my life. And I say that everything happens for a good reason. I started this because I lost a baby in 2001. He was a born baby. He was born premature. He had a very, very bad time, but he went to another dimension, and I think he left me a big work here in this world. So there's no coincidence. After a few months, I met in a lunch this woman called Marinela Servige, and she was doing the board of pediatrics in one of the biggest children's hospital in Mexico City called Instituto Nacional de Pediatría. So she said, I want you to join with me at this board. I was at that time only 31 years old. And I say, what do you want me? I mean, I'm very young. You have all these great names in your board. I mean, what can I help? I mean, there's not much I can do. And you know, I have a big heart, broken heart in this time, so I don't think I can help you. And my husband said, you know, you have to say yes, because you never know what's going to happen in this road. So give it a try. I think it's very important to take chances in life, because for me, that was really where I started to be a philanthropist, and I gave it a chance. So the first day I went, next day, after this amazing woman told me to go into the board, I went to the hospital. And it's incredible what happens. We started to see the hospital from the fourth floor to the first floor. So when I came out of the fourth floor in the right side, I saw these little cribs from the premature babies. You know, I just left the Texas Children's Hospital. So when I saw these little cribs, and I was like going back, you know, on the same story for me, I said, you know, this is my mission. So I just told Marinela, I need to leave the hospital. I think now I'm too, you know, it's too fresh for me, this, but I'm going to work with you. And then I understood that my own sorrow, my own broken heart, it was healed through giving. And I understood every woman that was there suffering with their child, because I went through that. And you know, you never think you're going to lose your child. You pray, you have faith. And thank God I had everything on my side. I have all the economy, and I was in the best hospital in Texas. And nevertheless, he was not able to make it. So I started to work there in 2002. And the first thing I did when I came to the hospital, I said, where does this woman pray? Because sometimes even doctors have all this knowledge. You have to have faith in God, faith in anything you believe, you know. So there was not a space for these moms to pray. So the first action I did, we did like a little church, and we put all the crystals and all the everything that all these women needed for them to go there, cry, pray. And then I started to give all what I lived in Texas. I started to live every day with this woman. We started giving them psychology support. Even the less, there was already a big volunteer group, but I started to become very, very involved in the hospital. So that's how I started. I mean, this is important because I always said that I'm connected with this baby called Rafael. And I think everything comes from heaven, because sometimes I'm very like, we need more toys. And then I just get a call. I need this. And then I just get this. And it's like, it's magic. So for me, it has been an amazing job and a great road working together with this baby. You know, he's there, I'm here. And then magic keeps going on. 7 years ago, I got a call from this woman called Veronica Martinez, and she said, I need you to meet Dr. Q. It was December. She lost her son. And I told her, come to the hospital, come to give toys to the kids for Christmas. And she said, no, I can't. And I said, please come. I promise you're just going to be in the first floor. You're going to give toys to the kids. And she came. After that, she said, please, we need to make something with Dr. Q because he wants to come to Mexico to operate. And we cannot make it happen. So I said, what do you need? She said, let's make a cocktail. He's an amazing doctor, So we made it happen. He comes in January. I speak with the director of the INP. Dr. Q comes with Damian Bichir because he already made this movie called The Immigrant. So I get to the hotel, and this is a very funny story. And I saw all these TV cameras, and I said, who's in the hotel? And they say, Dr. Q. And I said, my doctor? Is this my doctor? You know, like, so because Damian Bichir was here and he was very, you know, I think he got an Oscar for this movie. All these cameras were there. So long story short, we went to the hospital. Dr. Q was very surprised when he came because he said, I was one of these kids. I was there. So he knew what he'd been through and he knew what all the kids needed, you know, in this hospital. And we made it happen. The director of the INP signed the papers. Dr. Q said, I'm coming. And then he came to Mexico. And we started to do all these missions with the hospital, with the INP, and with the Hospital Juarez. So we made around, I think, 4 or 5 missions. And then he came in 2017. Even though we had an earthquake 1 month before, he said, I don't know if I'm sure we should come because I don't know if we're going to raise funds if you had this earthquake in Mexico. And I said, doctor, come, we need you. We need to buy this machine that you told us that it's very important for the hospital. He came to Mexico. We had such an amazing night. And when he came in 2017, we bought this equipment that we raised 4 million pesos. It was almost $200,000. And we bought this machine that Dr. Q said it was very important for the hospital. So, you know, it has been an amazing road working with Mission Brain, doing things together, as he says, building bridges. And, you know, for me, it's my life. It's my mission. I mean, I have a great family on my side. I have children. I have my husband. I have my parents. I have friends. But I think I'm very privileged to be working together with Mission Brain. So we have this gala coming now in 9 days that I'm very, very super happy, and I'm happy that you are coming because it's going to be at the Rubell Museum in Miami. The Rubell Museum is one of the nicest museums in Florida. It was donated by the Rubell family. It's a contemporary art museum. And at some point, it was impossible to get this museum and to go, you know, in the gala and go to the museum. So everything has been yes. Yes, you can come in the museum. Yes, you can make the gala. So, I mean, we're super happy. Gypsy Kings are going to be that night with us. And the most amazing thing for me is that Dr. Q is going to be honored. Because I'm Mexican, he's Mexican. He's my hero. My husband told me, like a few days, I'm super jealous. You only speak about Dr. Q. And the more I read about him, the more I become amazed of his story. He was this extreme poverty little boy that he was reading comics, and his motivation was reading a comic and saying, I can do it in life. Like, how amazing is that? If everybody thinks that you really can make amazing things, you really make them. So I'm fearless, because I think when you give with your heart, every dream comes true. So I'm very excited. Sorry for sometimes my English and I'm very excited. But
Tu inglés es increíble.
Thank you. I'm super happy. It has been a lot of work. Titanic. Well, my job was when I was at the hospital in the board, my job is raising funds, But even though in the board we were only raising funds, we made a huge group called Libélulas del Alma, dragonflies. Why dragonflies? Because a dragonfly is something that when you transform, when it's a cocoon, the dragonfly is open, and then you transform and you can fly. So that's why we put Libélulas del Alma. So it was a board in the hospital, and then we did these volunteers. And my job was to motivate more women to come near the hospital and help more kids. That's what I did for almost 18 years before the pandemic started. Then, because it was a children's hospital, it was very difficult to come in the hospital and do this. But years before I started with Mission Brain, my job is to motivate more people, and that we are privileged people. You don't have to. I had this traumatic, because I lost a baby. I say to people, don't wait to have a problem to help other people. And I think this was even my education. My parents were always helping people. So we have to teach our children to help other people, even though you don't have a problem. Like, not because you have an earthquake, you have to help. We have to help every day. And you can help people just by telling them how amazing they are. You don't have to give money, but you can encourage people to think they are amazing. And that's helping people, giving them a compliment, saying good morning, teaching other people, other women to do what they love. They don't need to help in a hospital. Some people really say, I cannot go to the hospital, it breaks my heart. But they can do other things. So if all the people in this world, and I say in this world because I love Dr. Q quote, together we can make this world a better world. And every single human being can give what they can give, being kind. Why not? That's what we need in this world, being kind. So my job is to raise funds, number one, because we need the funds. Then encourage people and motivate people to give what they have, give their passion, give their time, whatever. Some people have to work. I don't have to work, but my work is to give. So really, for me, that's my job, to give. So when I became partners, because I say Dr. Q is my partner, with Dr. Q and Mission Brain, what I do is get all these people that can give money and make these events and get the more funds that we can to make these missions possible, So in Mexico, when we did this mission in September, I tried to get everything for free because we don't want to pay, So we got the hotel, we got the restaurants, we got, the drivers, and we got people to give more donations so the missions can be done. We did, you did 7 surgeries, every single surgery was perfect. All these kids and adults came out without their brain tumors. So what else? That's bravo. What else? Chapeau. What else can we do, So my job is just to keep helping Mission Brain, to help all these doctors. As I told you, when we got this dinner with my parents' house, 17 doctors sitting down in a table. For me, that was You know, you are the famous, you are the heroes, you're doing a job that, you know, nobody can do without you. Saving lives is the best thing we can do.
When you first met Dr. Q, what was the main thing that made you bond? Because as we were discussing prior to the interview, Mexico is a very complex place. And what does it mean to be a Mexican? How did your heritage influence your relationship?
You know what? I love how humble he was, how connected he was with the children, because his story was very similar to the kids at the INP. So looking at him and seeing how his behavior with all these kids, his love, his giving, since I met Dr. Q, something in my heart resembled, you know? I think there's no coincidence, because there was magic between us. I believe in energy. I try to meditate every morning, and either you really connect with people or you don't. So the first moment I met Dr. Q, I knew, and I told him, I'm going to be with you on like Buzz Lightyear. And I told him, like Buzz Lightyear, I'm going to be there until infinity. And really, anything you need, we're going to get together and work together and build bridges. And I think that was the thing that really made me resemble with him. And obviously, for me, being Mexican and seeing the problems for 20 years with all these kids and these adults, you know, I think everybody deserves a health system. And Mexico doesn't have the health system we need. You know, it has been not easy for all these kids and adults having this problem. This actual day, today, I got a call last week. Kimberly, one girl from Careyes, has a tumor in her head. She's 7 years old. And we're trying to do whatever we can to put her into the INP to solve her problem. You know, every single family deserves their kids to be in a health system that can be, you know, their problems can be solved, and it's not happening. And I know how much they suffer. I know it, because I went through that. But I thank God I didn't have the problem that I couldn't go to this hospital. But these people cannot come to the hospital. They cannot go in there. They cannot have their surgery if sometimes people like me help them. So that's my job, to try to connect, try to make these things happen. But you know, Luca, as I said, really, I don't need recognitions.
I know.
My heart
But you
is
need help.
full of-
I mean, you can't do it on your own, you know?
I mean, very humble, but I got an award. I got recognized at the UN in New York. So that was, I was really very happy to have that award or recognition, because as you said, when people see you get these recognitions by being one of the number one philanthropists at that time at the UN and speaking in this place, that it was like, wow, you know. For me was very, very magic in a way. United States recognizing my job and not Mexico recognizing what I did for so many years.
Yeah.
And I was super happy. And then my family came, my kids came, some friends. I'm going to send you pictures too about that day.
I want to see those pictures.
Yeah, and giving a message to, because it was funny, because there was all these like super important people that like I was in Harvard and I was in MIT and I make this that and MBA. And then I came to stage and I said, hello, I married at 18 years old. I never had a career. I got 4 kids. I lost a baby. And then I start my career being a philanthropist. And then everybody was like, ah. And then, you know, you don't need a career. You don't need to go to Harvard to give a hand or to help people. You can just start by doing what you love, giving your passion, giving your time, you know. And yes. I have to say something. For me, having this backup from my family, my husband, my kids, my community, my tribe, my friends, has been very important in this path. Because you need the people, you know, and you need people to believe in what you're doing, to give you the courage to give you, the power to keep going. Because you take a lot of time. I took a lot of time from my kids when they were growing up. And sometimes they didn't understand why I was giving all this time to the hospital and sometimes not to them. And then I needed to travel, to travel and then to go every night to a dinner, because if you don't go to that dinner, then people don't come to your gala or don't come to your event. So I took a lot of time from my kids, even my husband, But now when they see all the time that I left and I'm doing this job, I think they're very happy what I have been doing, saving lives and helping other kids, I think that's very important.
There's one thing I wanted to ask you. I imagine it must have been such an incredible tragedy to go through what you went through. But what kind of person were you before that? You mentioned that you didn't have a career. Like, what kind of person were you? Were you already that was willing to give to others? Was that part of your natural inclination? Or was that something that you discovered through your tragedy?
You know what? I grew up with two of my parents being very, very, very involved in giving in our community, even in Mexico. I grew up, going to events and helping other people. My father was a president of the Jewish community at the Mount Sinai. So he was helping a lot of people and giving his time, giving the time to other people. So I grew up with that. But I married very young. I didn't have a chance to study. I started to study being a chef because I love to cook. And I think by cooking, you give a lot of love. And by giving time, you give a lot of love. And that's part of, philanthropy. And then when I started to have my kids, I always said, I need to work. I wanted to work. I wanted to do something. And then when I came to my dad or my husband and they said, but what do you need? What do you want to work? Why do you want to work? Do you need something? And I said, no, but I need to work. I was like, I craved to give. I was craving to do something. So at that time, you're saying what kind of person I was. I was a mom, I was raising my kids, but I knew I could give more. So when I had my fourth child, it was Rafael, at that time, something in my mind just like, I understood, because when I lost my baby, he was premature, but I went to Texas just to make an exam. And then next day, I went into the hospital, my water was broke, and I had to stay there for 3 weeks, and then the baby was born. So I was in this room with no light, it was no light, sunlight. I was sitting there for 3 weeks with, wrapped with, all these things. My kids were in Mexico. So maybe that's why I'm so like rise and shine, because I cannot be in a room. I went through this like traumatic time that I understood that life is now. It was this changing, that from 1 minute to another, I was in this hospital with no kids, with no bags, with no friends, with no luxury, with nothing. It was me, my mom, and my husband. So it was 1 minute to another. So we have to live life as we're like, every day we have to be, number one, grateful, understand that life is not forever, that maybe one day you're here and next day you're not. I lost one child. I lost my best friend with cancer 5 years ago. And I lost one very close cousin 15 years ago. So we don't have a lot. We don't buy life. We have life today. I always say the present moment. So at that time, I understood life in a different way. And I understood that living that traumatic and tragic moment made me another person. That's why I always said, everything happens for a good reason. I was not a bad person, but maybe my conscience was not, was not bright, was not present, I didn't understood how privileged I was. And then this baby died, and my road and my life became another thing, I don't waste time doing what I don't want to do. I do what I want. I give time to what I like. I give my passion to what I like. And I kept my friends and my family together and my priorities. And that made me another person. At that time, really, 20 years ago, 21 years ago, made me another person.
That's an amazing
And,
story.
you know, I think sometimes you have to go deep into this sadness to see the light. And that's what happened to me. But, you know, I saw the light. Like, you know, one thing I remember my dad said, when you go into the trampoline and you jump, you can go down deep and just stay there, or down deep and go and come up and start a new life and and it's a new beginning. And he said, God loves you. It was the way it's supposed to be. You have to keep on. You have 3 kids. And you have to really understand that sometimes things happen with no reason. Trust, believe, have faith that everything is going to be okay. And then after 4 years, I had my baby girl. That I was pregnant with Emilia Hayat, and she was like a miracle baby for me. And she's my princess, and it has been, you know, it was something that I never expected, because I couldn't become pregnant by myself. And then I understood that when you trust and believe, magic things happen. And that's life. What can I tell you? It's my story, and it's how I've been living this way, you know, living day by day, minute by minute. But the most important thing is just being grateful. Even though I had this very tragic moment, I was very grateful at that time, because my baby was very ill, very ill. I mean, he was bleeding, his liver was destroyed, and he needed to live, you know, he needed to live to another dimension. But he's here, you know, always in my heart. And sometimes things happen and you don't understand.
I'm not somebody that believes in God openly, but I do think there is some extreme power to having something to believe in moments like that. One thing I was wondering is, maybe we all need our personal tragedy to become the people we were meant.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You don't have to believe in God. But there's energy. We are energy, you know?
I believe in energy.
We're energy. So in anything you believe, we just have to have faith and understand that sometimes life or energy or whatever put us through paths that we don't like. Life is yin yang, you know, it's black and white. Like, I don't live a pink life, you know, I'm pink, but not everything is pink. Sometimes we have to go to sorrow to see the light. And when you understand that when you go through these dark moments, and you know, being through this pandemic put everybody into this very dark world. And if we didn't understood at that point that we have to become better persons, and not everybody understood that. Not everybody. And then we're back to normal. And then we're back to what it used to be. That's a no-no. We need to make this world a better one. We need to understand that pandemic was for a reason. That we needed to see other people suffering, and we needed to say, what's going on? What do you need? You know? Many people didn't understand. But a lot of them did understand. And you know, we have to keep trying to make more people conscious on giving and doing this world a better one, you know, and being kind. And as I said, there's so many ways of being kind.
Thank you very much for sharing your story. And
I'm so happy you're going to be with me at the gala.
I'm so happy to be with you.
Yeah.
Let's try to segue into the gala a little bit so people can know what it's about, and especially so that our audience can learn a bit about how they can help and how they can support. So tell us a bit about the benefit gala that's coming up, and tell us a bit about the other organizations involved, like Fundación Cardio Infantil, I Love Venezuela Foundation, and just give us a brief overview about what this is all about and what the goals are.
Well, I started to work with Santi Chumaceiro. She's the president of I Love Venezuela Foundation. She's a cancer survivor. And we met for some reason because we met in a gala too in Mexico City. She came in a plane. I was actually in the airport. We were not friends. And we flew together to Acapulco.
Wow.
And when I got to the hotel, I didn't have a room. So she turned to me and said, "Do you want to be my partner, my roomie in the room?" And I was like, "Sure." And then I promise, this is real. And I said, "Yes." And we said, when we get to the hotel, I said, this could be a disaster or this could be amazing. So we call us roomies. It was amazing. You know, we had the best time ever. We met once in our life, and then we were sleeping together as roomies. So
Wow.
since that day, we became partners.
And was this
Then
prior to her cancer diagnosis, or was this
Yes,
after?
this was prior. This was maybe 7-8 years ago.
I would actually like to have her on the podcast as well, because
Yes, please. Yes.
I'd love to talk
And
to her.
it was very sad because I lost my best friend in New York 5 years ago. And after 1 year that my friend died, Santi was diagnosed with the same type cancer. So I said to my husband, "What's going on? What do I need to learn? This is too much for me." But thank God, she is doing amazing. And you know, by being positive and by being really faithful, you know, I think she overpassed the cancer. She opened her illness to the world. She took her head in front of their kids. She received all these prayers from all the people around her, and she's doing amazing. She's doing amazing. So long story short, we started to work together with with I Love Venezuela Foundation. She came to Mexico, to my hospital. Then I went to Miami. She sends a lot of help she sends all the help to Venezuela. So she gets all the funds in Miami. And from there, she sends it to Venezuela and different foundations in Miami too. Because she makes, like, when it was a pandemic, they were doing all these like despensas. How do you call it? Like to give groceries to the people.
Yeah, it's giveaways.
Giveaway. So I was there. Actually, I was there working with her many days, you know. So we started to do a lot of job together. And last year we were together. We were invited to this Bazaar for Good with Marta Graf in Miami. We raised $500,000 in one day. That was our first partnership in Miami. We did amazing. And from that day, we said we needed to do a gala. We were doing a galas before the pandemic, but it just didn't happen. And then we said, you know, we need to make it happen. And then in September, when we did the dinner with Dr. Q, we said we're doing a gala in February. And why cardio infantil? Because they're from Colombia. Is this foundation, we really believe they're putting thirst to kids from the heart in Colombia. Extreme poverty. So I think I told you, building bridges and teamwork. So I believe that when you work together with other foundations, you can reach more people. You can get more people. Because when you do it alone, it's not the same. You know, and I think Colombia, Venezuela, and Mexico are in the same level of bad health systems. The gala is going to take place at the Rubell, as I said, the 16th of February, 7:30 p.m. It's going to be ladies' long dress, men's black tuxedo or black suit. And we're having Gypsy Kings from Spain coming to make this night amazing. And we're having Lauren Albrecht and Casa Tua DJ Claudio. And then we're giving honor to Dr. Q and a cardiologist in Colombia, a doctor, I don't remember his name, but I'll send you the details. And we did this silent auction with like 50 things. We got just everything for free, like Aspen, and lift tickets. In Careyes, we got a house. In San Bart's, we got a house. We have a lot of art. We have jewelry. We have bags, Bulgari, Louis Vuitton, Yves Saint Laurent, Four Seasons in Miami, Nobu, San Miguel de Allende, a lot of things. So by going into the bidding, the silent auction, you can help. By going into the foundations, you can help. By going into the Wheel of Gala, even though you don't go, you can give, And if you don't want to give the $500, because that's the least ticket we asked, you can give 10, you can give 20, you can give 50, You can just give whatever you want. But actually, to go to the gala, the least you can give is $500. Then we have sponsors that gave 25,000. 15,000, 10,000 to get the tables. And then we have love tickets that it was 2,000 per couple.
And does that give you something more, like an incentive?
There's a wall of recognition. And obviously there's a sponsor wall, like with all, to take the picture. And I think it's going to be such an, and we're getting a lot of funds. I mean, I would love to get $1 million. That's my magic word.
Now we have the goal. We have the goal in mind.
I have the goal. I'm always very, tough at the goal, but I want that. And I think we are going to motivate more people. I think we need to make awareness in this world of giving and recognizing the superheroes, like the doctors, and, just showing the mission, the foundations, and getting to more people, I think that's going to make, in Miami, it's going to be a big thing.
You made a great point, in my opinion, when you said that it's great to have multiple foundations in the same event, because it's so easy to get caught up in your own tragedy. As you said, you started working with children that had gone through what you had gone through. But I think having a gala that brings different people together and different foundations together also makes people that are very interested in one cause, for example, cancer, become aware of problems that other people have. So that's actually a really good point.
And Miami is very Latin. So you have the Colombians, you have the Venezuelans. A lot of people is flying from Mexico. And then we have people coming from New York. Then we have people coming from Milan, as you. Then we have people coming from Orlando. There's people coming from all around, from London. I know people's coming from Venezuela.
Amazing.
So, it's important to have a global community and to spread the word. One of the guys that is going to be hosting the event, it's Rodner Figueroa. He's an amazing friend, and he's number 2 at the I Love Venezuela Foundation. He has 1 million followers. So his awareness and his spread the word is very important to us too.
Really nice. I've never spoken to him. And I have a few questions about the gala itself. So first of all, what do you believe the main challenges are? I mean, now we've established the goal. We talked about $1 million. And what are the challenges that you faced in organizing this? And what is something that you're still trying to figure out how to do better?
Well, life is a challenge every day, And it has been very difficult and not very difficult in doing this gala, because there's always something going on. Who's putting the decoration? Who's giving the flowers? If we can put so many people, if we can go in the museum, if we cannot, the insurance, the accountant, the wall.
It's quite fascinating. One thing that you may know or may not is that most of our audience is people that are involved in Mission Brain. And one of the interesting things about Mission Brain is that we have developed a chapter program in which people around the world develop independent organizations to organize events. And so break down for us what it means to organize an event such as this. As you said, this is something that started in September. So what are the steps to take to make something like this happen?
Okay, first, you need to know who's getting together as a team. You need a team, definitely. Mm-hmm. You need a team. Then you need location. For me, that's very important. The Rubell was, for me, one of that museum, for me, it's such an incredible place. It makes a big difference when you say the Rubell,
Yeah.
Then the day for us was very important, because Thursday night, it's a good night. Then there's a boat show in Miami. So people, they're coming to Miami already. So you get more people. Timing. So location, timing, target, what kind of people you want and how much you want to charge for that night. How many people you want? Do you want to make a small ticket or you want to make a big ticket with less people? So we wanted less people, big
with
ticket.
bigger tickets.
Yeah, big ticket. And then we needed to spread the word and to get sponsors. We needed more sponsors to our gala so we can pay the event and then get the funds. We needed the sponsors to pay for the event, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So the gala is paid already. We are winning a lot of money. The gala is totally paid with the sponsors.
So everything plus is extra.
Everything plus is extra. We have already winning money and we are almost like very little to sold out. Like maybe this week we'll have to close the tickets because there's no more. 500 is our top.
Yeah.
Of course. So location, timing, how much, if you want a lot of people or less people, you have to put a number in your tickets or your donations, and then put like a challenge, where you want to go. What do you want to spread? What's your message to the world? We're doing an amazing video so people understand the mission, the work in these foundations. And then this is our t-shirt.
Oh, wonderful. Really nice.
And then it was funny because I was going to this dinner with David Beckham, and I was doing my Zoom with a foundation, and I was like doing my eyelashes, I was like, I'm sorry, but I need to do my makeup. And I was like, and then Ricardo why are you doing your makeup? And I was like, because it's so funny, like we're working and then I'm doing my hair, and I said, I'm sorry, but I need to run with David Beckham. And he says, take a t-shirt. And I was like, yes. So I took my t-shirt, my Sharpie, and then he was signing and everybody became crazy. And we're auctioning the t-shirt.
That's actually a great thing to do. The reason I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about the auction, because in Italy, we're planning on organizing an auction very soon with signed memorabilia from people in the entertainment industry. We actually already started. We have footballs signed by every player of AC Milan. We're starting to gather memorabilia. So I have a ton of questions about this. So first of all, how did you decide to go with artwork? I saw that you have lots of paintings. So how do you establish what kind of items you put up to auction?
Okay, first of all, the Rubell curated the artists. It has to be like good artists. But affordable. You cannot go like 50,000 or, yes. You need like an amount that it's really gonna sell. So you need good artists. Art now it's everybody wants to buy art. And I went into these galleries that they know me, that I buy through them. But then I said, give me art. I need free art for my gala. So everybody was like, yeah.
Everything is for every single item on the auction is free.
Free. But Luca, I have been 20 years working in this. You get a name,
Of course. Yes.
So when they say they give, because when you have the credibility, that what you get, you give, that's very important. You build it up. Like if people is giving me the money, I'm doing the surgeries. And that's very important. People give people,
Yes.
People give to people. Like if I take out I need this. Yes, I know Celia. She's doing this job since 20 years. I know her career. She's transparent. She's getting the funds and she's making it happen, She's not, she's really making the difference. So I'm giving her the money. I'm giving her the art. I was having lunch Thursday with these friends from Careyes. They did Careyes. They built up all Careyes. And they say, do you want a house? Yes. It's 8,000 a night. Then Aspen, the one that runs Aspen, she called me. Do you want nights at Aspen? You want lifting? Like, yes.
And that's not on the web. yet, right? Or is it
The
already?
lift tickets are the apartment is coming in tonight, and the Carella's house is coming in. Then the Sambar's house is already there.
That can be huge.
It's
Yeah.
just Carella's is one of like it's like top of the line, you know. It's like wow.
I think one of the biggest takeaway messages for our audience is if you deliver constantly and you deliver time and time again, people are going to want to help.
You have to deliver. That's why I did the dinner here in Mexico. Because when I asked people to help me in the bazaar and I gave $100,000 to Mission Brain, I needed to show what was going on after that, you know, after that bazaar that we got. So for me, that night was very important to deliver what we did. And this has to be a cycle. You raise, you deliver. And, you know, one of my mentors in life is Mrs. Sheila Safra.
I don't know about.
I mean, they had this Safra Bank in Brazil, and she's a huge philanthropist. And I asked her, what's one of the messages that I need to understand being a philanthropist? Or what do you recommend? I like to go to people that I really believe and admire. And she said, when I give money, I really want to see what's going on with that money. Even if I give a penny, I need to see where that money went through and what change it gave to this foundation or to this kid or to. So even when people give the money, they need to go, you know, go on the back of the story to see where's their money ending. So they want to listen what happened to this money they gave.
That's a very interesting point. I actually read an interview that you had with Forbes Mexico. And I recall you talking about a girl in the oncology ward that needed prosthesis. And you were able to organize the entire thing through Facebook. So do you believe that in the future, the idea of crowdfunding will become more and more dominant in the world of philanthropy? So a sort of democratization of philanthropy.
Yes, but there's so many foundations, you know. Crowdfunding is very good, but you need to reach to more people that they know you in your career, you know. You need to keep involving people that understand what your career.
That's quite interesting. So break this down for me. Since there's 3 organizations involved, will the money be split between the organizations?
In 3.
In 3.
Mission Brain, I Love Venezuela, and Cardio Infantil. There's
and
3
it's
foundations.
halfway split. It's just everybody gets.
We have been working. Everybody has been working. You know, selling the tables, selling the tickets, getting donations. Like, yeah, it's going to be in 3.
You're doing crazy stuff and you pulled Gypsy Kings. I have no idea how you did that.
And they're super happy to come into Miami. I mean, it's like.
Did you know them personally before, or was this a serendipitous?
We knew the agent. We knew the agent. We knew the agent that knew them very well. So we just sent them a message. We are having this gala. And they say, yes, plane tickets. And I think we paid less than 20,000.
Wow. And of course, everything is covered by the sponsors. So it's.
Everything is covered. When you need help, you can just do a video with me and I will give you all the advice for sure.
I definitely need advice because we have big plans and big ambitions. But as I told you, I'm an amateur. So I need all the help.
You're not. You have the heart and the passion.
It's something I'm really passionate about because we're doing great work in Mission Brain Europe. Actually, everybody involved in Europe in the organization is a student. Everybody is a medical student. We started a year ago, exactly. So a year ago, we didn't exist. And in a year, we raised something like 15K in Italy, just starting from zero.
We're very good.
It was a really interesting start. So we're trying to level up considerably since we just got legal recognition, a legal tender from the Italian government.
Good.
And we are getting legal tender from the European Union. So we will be eligible for receiving funding from the European Union through this law that was put in place in Italy. And so we would like your counseling.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry. Everything you need. I mean, we're looking forward. The big day. The heart.
Celia, You're amazing. You're an amazing person. It was great to have this conversation. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity on spreading the word and making awareness to, to all this community.
Thank you so much, Celia. See you soon.
We hope you enjoyed our first episode. To be interviewed and for inquiries, email us at podcast@missionbrain.org. To donate to the foundation, please visit www.missionbrain.org.